Raised by a single mother in North Tulsa, Ben Abney was no stranger to hard work. Through his dedication and a tennis scholarship at TU, Ben found success in law and real estate. He and his wife, Pat, have been partners in business and life for over 50 years.
I'd get on the bus, ride downtown, transfer right out to TU where they had a wall you could hit against. And at the time, TU tennis players, this was during the summer, they kind of took me under their wing, gave me one of their old rackets. I became proficient enough at tennis to go to TU. Glenn Dobbs gave me the scholarship, and from there it all went well.
Nancy Aronson, who was joining TU's women's team, and she encouraged me to take a recruiting trip, and I did, and the rest is history.
Al Walker attended TU to play golf. His TU business and MBA degrees led him first to the financial world in New York and then to energy. Today, he leads Anadarko Petroleum in Houston.
I think the men's and women's team at that time were kind of like cousins. We all did stuff together from time to time, and certainly on Mondays, we often would mix up and play together, and that was a really enjoyable time. As most people know, Nancy Lopez was at the school at that time, along with Kathy Reynolds and a lot of other really good players.
Dr. Vonovich and the department, they didn't look at me as being an African-American young man. They just looked at me as being another student, athlete, who had a passion for theater.
Julius Tennant's ticket to TU was on a football scholarship. His passion for theater and a steely focus turned into a lifelong career in acting. Today, he oversees Juvie Productions, which he started with his wife, actress Viola Davis.
So I'm going to this school and I'm talking to the coaches and I'm saying, hey, listen, I want to act too. And it's kind of like, what? We've never had an actor. So when they took me to Kendall Hall, brand new, they hadn't finished it, plastic still on the seats, 365 seat proscenium stage, I could just envision myself being on that stage. I knew then that I was going to be able to kind of continue what I loved and that they were going to give me that support. I mean, I got razzed by the guys, but hey, it's okay.
In the summer of my early college career, I was a accountant, worked 7 days a week and was able to afford a 54 Dodge. We had a lot of fun with that Dodge. I went to law school because my best friend was going to law school on the same combined degree program. It was the best thing ever happened to me. I figured my only way out of poverty, and we lived in poverty, was to educate myself. And I'm thankful, as you can imagine, to TU giving me that opportunity, and I took advantage of it.
Well, we had an interesting mix of people. Some have gone on to be really well known in the game of golf. Hank Haney, obviously, probably the most noteworthy. And during that period of time, the athletic dorm would take on the rest of the school in an annual hockey game at midnight at one of the ice rinks in town. And this one particular year, Hank, who was a very good high school hockey player, ended up getting his shoulders separated, so I ended up taking Hank to the hospital around 1 or 2 in the morning, which caused him about 2 weeks of not being able to play golf and getting in a little bit of trouble in the process. And I'd say that was one of those things you just look at and laugh, and I tease him about it from time to time when I see him.
I didn't know a whole lot about Tulsa except Jerry Rome and Howard Twilley. Then after I got there, I realized how many great players played at Tulsa. By the time my senior year came, I was a strong side linebacker and was really kind of hyped up to maybe potentially make All-American and all kinds of things, but then ultimately, end up getting injured, but continued on with the theater because I always loved the theater and that's what I wanted to do. And I was, the first African-American theater major to graduate in the history of the University of Tulsa.
I was a public defender making $350 a month. Got a phone call one day from one of my law school buddies, and he said, what do you think about coming with me and 2 other guys and forming our own law firm? I said, let's talk. I'd love to talk to you. And so in March 1st, 1972, we formed a firm. It was called Chapel Wilkinson Riggs and Abney. That firm grew from 4 lawyers to over 100 lawyers over the next 30 years. I stayed there 23 years and then went off counsel, but we grew a 4-man law firm into a very successful, very highly respected law firm, and I'm damn proud of it.
Well, I finished my MBA in 1984, and 3 years later I left First National Bank. I went to work for Prudential, where I worked for the next 13 years. That was a very memorable part of my career so far. I'd say it's a highlight, as well as getting the opportunity to be chairman and CEO of Anadarko Petroleum.
I went to school to play football, but the thing that was the most important thing was to get the degree. You know, my mom was always very supportive and just wanted me to pursue my dreams. And I was always dreaming. And my mom and stepfather were there when I walked across that stage in '79. So that was a proud moment to get that paper. It's in that office now. It's hanging in there right now. And so that's what that's kind of how I carved my career out, because I was always an actor, but I always worked. I worked, but I always had great flexibility to kind of continue the dream, because you know, it's a dream, and until it becomes really real, you have to be realistic, because it's called show business.
How you're successful in business is building relationships. And so I had this theory of making every client a friend. You know, I try to play golf with them. But one of the things I did is I invited every client that I obtained to my house for dinner. We had a lot of fun building clients by having them at our house, and my wife feeding all of us and us having a beer or a cocktail. I think that works whether you're practicing law or anything else, but my wife in that regard was my partner. She did a hell of a job.
Today I'm the proud father of two 15-year-olds, an 11-year-old, and today a birthday for my 5-year-old. So one of the challenges in life is balancing work and family for me, because my work's fairly demanding. I work some part of 7 days a week. So when I am in town and when I am with my family, I really have to put the work into a second spot and move family into a one spot. And some weeks I do that better than others. And I will say, though, one of the most rewarding things in life is watching your children develop and having a spouse that you're able to do that with. I will say having children is a young man's sport. It probably should have been something I started earlier. I unfortunately just never met the right person to get married and have kids until I was a little later in life.
I was in Canada. I shot a movie called the Simone Biles Project, and it was about the Olympic gold medalist. And what I loved about that narrative is that it showed family and about supporting their daughter in her dream, in her journey. So for me, I saw a lot of commonality in the way they supported her and the way they pushed her and the way my mom told me to go after it. Because for me, I really wanted to be on Broadway. But then I got custody of my 2 young children, and that changed the trajectory. And so God said, do what's at your hand to do. Do theater in Austin, and then when you're ready to move, your next move should be California. So I did what I was supposed to do in that moment, and then fulfilled myself in my art the best way I could, because it made sense. I had no family in New York. You know, I moved to LA about 25, almost 26 years ago. I mean, this is kind of fulfilling a dream. So I never really got to do that New York thing like I wanted to, but now I'm in a different position, and I may, you know, produce an off-Broadway or off-Broadway thing now, because I'm in a position to do it.
After 23 years of practicing law, I ended up going to work for a gentleman named Mike Case, who's in the real estate business. And Mike Case is a hell of a guy. And he was very generous to me and taught me a lot about the real estate business. I was there when he grew his business threefold. Introduced him to TU. TU loves me for that, I'm sure, because there's a lot of buildings at TU now with his name on them. I helped Mike raise the money for the Case Tennis Center. I think it was $10 million. It's known all through the United States. It's one of those facilities now that people come here and look at and try to replicate.
Probably the most remarkable thing is just the footprint of the university has changed so dramatically since the late 70s when I left as a student. Today it's a very self-sufficient, on-campus environment where the footprint is remarkable. Well, I'm very honored and surprised that TU wanted to make me a Distinguished Alumni. I'm very proud of the fact that they've come with this particular honor. One thing I've been pretty purposeful over my career is being cognizant of that the one thing I have the most control over is my reputation, in terms of making sure that whatever I do and where I do it, that my reputation is always something that I own.
What I'm most proud about is the fact that I just kept going. Failure is a part of life, but are you gonna lay down or are you gonna get up? I've always found a way to keep getting up. So it's really quite an honor. And I'm so proud that I meant something to the university. I'll be part of the TU family forever. You know, so it's cool.
I grew up at TU. TU's made all this happen. It was just the perfect place for me at the perfect time. And it allowed me to better myself as a person. And I was tough enough and hard-working enough to take advantage of it. Because I've seen some of the people that who have received this award, and I feel what they used to say, I'm not worthy. but no, it's a great honor, great honor. I can't be more proud of my degrees.
Ladies and gentlemen, as they join us on stage, please give a warm welcome to our newest TU Distinguished Alumni, Ben Abney, Julius Tenen, and Al Walker.